What's up, ladies and gentlemen? So in this video, I'm setting up the new tumbler I got. Super cool. This first part is just me installing it with concrete anchors because it basically has to be anchored to the ground. Had to go out and buy a specific hammer drill from Harbor Freight for this, so that's cool, I guess. Can't go wrong with more tools. Anyways, if you like this video, please sub, but enjoy the rest of the video. Alright, what's up, people? This is the new tumbler. I bought it because the Harbor Freight tumblers were 1, not tumbling fast enough, B, tumbling had a bias to tumble one side of the parts because they, spin in a circular direction, and C, the bowls weren't lasting, and I was having to take the whole system down every week and basically plastic weld the bowls back together, which obviously not a good long-term strategy. So basically everything I make or the business makes gets tumbled at some point, or at least 90% of the parts that I make get tumbled. So tumbling is like a really, really important mass processing step for products. Now, it's so important that actually the holdup is tumbling. So if I make a knife or something, the tumbling actually ends up being the bottleneck because the mills parts and then they come off the mill, and then I end up waiting like over a day basically to tumble just blades. Blades are a little special because they're hardened stainless, so they do take a little bit longer, but even the handles would take like 8 hours to tumble. And you've seen some of the finishes that come off the machine, they're really good. Equal step over and everything. On the handles you can almost not see the step over lines or marks, like the cusp heights, in the correct, like the right light. So, and even then, it would take multiple hours, like I said, at least 8 hours to tumble. So hopefully this solves a good portion of those problems. This doesn't use a motor that rotates circular. It uses basically like a offset bearing kind of drivetrain to shake the entire what do you want to call it? Basin on these springs. So yeah, this is a Mrdeburr DB300 something. I don't remember the serial number is. It's actually made in the US, and I'll give like a price breakdown, but I bought mine from Accubrass, which I've heard hit or miss things from some people, but my experience was very pleasant. I did have to call them to put the order in because their Shopify thing with freight shipping is kind of weird. It's actually cheaper to order through them than to go from to CM top line. It's cheaper at Accubrass. I'm not sure why. It's kind of a weird business strategy. But anyways, so yeah, it was basically 2.5 weeks, 2.5 to 3 weeks from order to arriving here. So from California all the way to Connecticut freight, which is very impressive. And I don't have a lift. I don't have a loading dock, so it's lift gated and everything. So actually went really good. It was packed incredibly well. There's literally no damage on the box whatsoever. And yeah, I have nothing but good things to say so far, but I thought we'd take a pretty in-depth look at the unit. And I haven't actually ran it. I just put the anchors in. And yeah, there's no videos on YouTube really about this thing, like from a real buyer's perspective, so I thought I'd be the first. Alright, let's go. So here's the unit installed. You install it with 3/8 concrete anchors. I had to go pick up a hammer drill for that, but yeah, they're 1 7/8 long, I think. I had broke one, so I had to go buy another one. I took the front cover off because I was curious, and you guys get to see the drivetrain, which is cool too. This is a 3/4 horse. It's currently set up for single phase, but I'm pretty sure these can be wired for 220. I'm not sure if that voids your warranty, but it is something I was looking into doing because I do have a 220 plug in this room up there. And we're pretty far as wires go from the breaker panel. So I don't want to like overload the circuit here. But basically it pulls 11 amps I think on 120 volts. So it's single phase. And there's a separate motor for the pump, the liquid pump. And this all comes with a unit. So here's this really odd looking 7-gallon bucket. Then this is the little pump that comes with the tumbler. So again, single phase, and 7 gallons of water. Here's the drivetrain. This is what I was talking about, if you can kind of see. So there's a belt here. It's basically going to drive this rod, and it's between, I'm not really sure what we call those. I think they're pillow bearings. But yeah, so basically there's 2 counterweights, and it'll shake the whole thing on these springs. It's actually all really, really well made. I'm surprised at how well made it is, actually. It's kind of a weird thing to say. But there's a grease fitting for both bearings on the outside, so you actually don't need to take the front cover off. And something pretty cool I noticed was you can buy all of the replacement parts for this unit. So if this entire drivetrain goes out, they sell the entire thing on CM top line. So that's actually pretty cool. Obviously not a lot of people are making tumblers, but everyone who's ever bought one of these has very few complaints. And some people have had theirs for like 10 plus years still running. So I figured, well, that's a pretty good, review. So I'll give them a shot. And honestly, for the price, the build quality's quite good. So there's a door basically to dump media out. It's pretty heavy duty. It's a rubber plug. So it's basically watertight as far as I understand. And you do this. It's like a typical like plumber's plug kind of thing. So yeah, it's simple, but it definitely works. Back of the unit, really nothing back here, which is cool. I left a bunch of space in case I ever have to do any work to it. The back cabinet is actually it's one bent piece of sheet metal except the front. So it's kind of interesting, and then it's welded up on its seams. So it's I would assume that's pretty strong as far as a 3-sided box goes. The case, or the actual basin itself, I don't remember what this material is, but it's good quality. Here's the spray bar for the liquid. So basically you have a little, whatever you call this thing, a thing to close water. A ball valve? Yeah, ball valve. So water is going to be down there in your little bucket and basically flow out here. And I'm pretty sure there's little holes. Yeah, I can kind of feel them in here. And this is the sprayer. I got some tank dividers. So the dividers will basically sit, I got 2 dividers, so that gives me 3 zones. So I'm going to run 3 different types of media. So hopefully, I'm pretty sure the spray bars kind of account for that. It feels like they do. Then there is a cover. I'm not sure what the cover is made out of, but basically it gets bolted here. And I'm curious to see how loud it is compared to the Harbor Freight tumblers. And yeah, so I'm going to continue to get it set up, and then we'll kind of run it. And yeah. But so far I'm quite impressed. So somebody messaged me on Instagram because I've been posting on my story. Follow me at Split141. Someone was like, you should check the belt tension because mine went out after a year. And I was like, oh yeah, I should probably do that because, the cover's already off. So here's the belt tension. It's actually quite loose. So basically I can do this and I can pull. There's like 3/16 of slack around the pulley. So it should probably be a little tighter than it is. Yeah, that seems like quite a lot to me. So I'm pretty sure, yeah, so loosen the motor mount and then just slide it down and we should be good. But yeah, something you might want to look for if you buy one of these. But yeah, I thought I'd throw that in there. So the manual that comes with this thing is actually really impressive. I was looking at it to see what the actual deflection amount should be. So basically it says V-belt should be 3/4 deflection between the two pulleys at 2 to 3 pounds. So I would guess, for the DB300, so I would guess that it's talking about 3/4 at 2 to 3 pounds of force into the belt, and I'm not really sure how I'd measure that, so I'm gonna guess that it's probably set right, but I don't know. This seems like a lot of slack, but this thing does jump around a lot, so we'll kind of see. But the manual itself is very nice, actually. Very well laid out. And then it actually has all the schematics, which is not something you see too often. It's like when you used to buy games and then, you know, it came with a manual and there was artwork. This is how this feels. Like I haven't experienced this in years. So yeah, even has stuff for media, but pretty impressive, honestly. Alright, so I installed the tank dividers, obviously. Took me a long time. Kind of stupidly long. So the cover, obviously, you know, goes like this. Well, the bolt heads are here, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to knock these back out, and then I'm going to drill holes for them in the cover. That way there's not this big hump in the cover, and because otherwise these bolt heads are actually going to wear through the cover eventually. So yeah. Alright, cool. So that seemed worthwhile. Here's the gap now. You can see it's pretty equal, which is good. There's very little light showing through it, which means less sound is going to bounce out, which is the goal, obviously. So if you look back there, it's very hard to tell, but there's little light gaps. But yeah, I think that was worthwhile. I think I'm going to try to figure out what to do with the front ones. I might just cut big enough holes so that when this drops down, it doesn't hit those. Yeah, might gasket the front. I'm just worried, so I got this gasket material from when I did my Harbor Freight blast cabinet. It's really terrible material, like just flimsy. It's really trash, but I kept it and, you know, I figured I'd try it out. I'm worried that the liquid and the compound will eat this this cheap gasket material, so a real rubber material might be a good investment in the future. Get some off McMaster or something. But yeah, I think we'll cut a space for the bolt heads, and then I'll gasket the front, and then next is the timer, and then hopefully we can run. Alright, so we ended up doing the pump first just because the timer, I need to install it on the wall somewhere, and I needed to figure out where the electrical cord for the pump in the bucket was going to go, so yeah. So, the cool thing about the timer is, minus the fact that it's missing this wire nut on the inside, so I can't tighten this thing down properly, I think you just pop the cover off, these two bolts in my hand, these, see that one in the corner? So pop that off and then put the sheet metal where you want it and then screw it in the wall and then reassemble it like that. And it's got the two outlets. So yeah, it's pretty self-explanatory, which is cool. So I'm gonna get that installed and then we should be almost good to go. Alright, to facilitate actually doing maintenance on the fluid when you're supposed to, I added this little bar here out of scrap stuff, so don't mind the quality of this. And then obviously I made sure that all the wires had enough slack and were completely out of the way. Basically, the bucket stays under this drain that's down here, right on the end of the unit, and when you go to change the water, you basically have to pull the bucket out and then do something with the pump. And instead of laying the pump on the ground like, you know, I figured I was going to do, this is a much better idea. So basically you just hang the pump in the air, do your stuff with your bucket, whatever you do with buckets, and then put the bucket back and then put your pump back. That way it just makes your life like way easier. Changing water becomes like a 45-second process as opposed to like, you know, just a pain. Okay, so it's time to fill this thing with fluid. And I'm going to run the pump and check for leaks, all that kind of stuff. And then we'll fill it with media. And then we'll get to tumbling. Oh yeah, when you do this, make sure to pour water all over your plug. It's a crucial step. You know, since I poured water on that thing, that leads me to believe that I will do that in the future. So I should probably get this thing to hang up like way up here. Okay, cool. Now when you unplug it, it's mostly out of the way. Alright, I'm going to plug the switch in, hopefully not die. Turn our little thing on. Cool! We have liquid flow. Very neat. You can see it is flowing between the dividers because they're not watertight, which is what we need because the drain is over here on the left. I don't know this for certain, but I would guess that the liner they have in here is probably sloped this way. So it's good to see that the water level seems to be staying the same and equal, because you obviously don't want way more fluid in one zone than the other. Never knew I'd own a water fountain that costs $3,600. Okay, media. So, media types. So, because I'm doing titanium, basically all hard material, titanium and then, you know, hard stainless. All this is from McMaster, but Vibrofinish makes it, so if you want to know where McMaster's media comes from. Let's see, bless the delivery driver's heart for carrying this stuff. It's all 50 pounds. So for the smallest media, we have these triangles, and all this is the most aggressive ones you can buy on McMaster. So these are 3/8 wide by 1/4 inch length. Smooth triangles, it says. For the second biggest, we have these. Again, most aggressive. This is like $230 a box, so it's very expensive. It is 7/16 by 7/16 smooth B cylinders. Very cool. Okay, and then the last one, which I have used, and it does work even in the Harbor Freight tumblers, but it destroys the tumbler, so keep that in mind, is this 1 inch by 1 inch smooth V cylinder. And then again, like the most aggressive. So these work really good on the blades. So yeah, it's got 2 flat spots and then like a weird hole round. And basically you want to match your media to the part shape and then the size. And then the bigger the media, the more energy it has, the quicker it'll deburr. But obviously there's like caveats and all that kind of stuff. The smallest media is going to go near the discharge chute in case I need to pull really small parts out. That way I can do that. Smallest, medium, and then obviously the hard hitting one at the end there. Alright, I think it's time to do this. I'm going to add some of this. It's the compound we're using. It irritates my skin almost instantly. It's pretty nasty stuff. So we're going to do 1 ounce per gallon. This is 1 to 4. So we'll do 7 ounces. Turn our pump on. Man, how cool is that? It's running right now, and you can barely hear it. Neat. Cool, so this is the end of the video. The rest of the video just has some footage on the tumbler actually running, so you can kind of see how the movement of parts is throughout the tumbler. That's really cool. It's a really awesome upgrade compared to the Harbor Freight tumblers, and I want to do a specific review video on the overall unit and just some things that I like and don't like, and then maybe some mods you can do. But yeah, basically this video was just me getting it in, setting it all up, and then running some parts. So here you can kind of just see the finish on the tweezers. These aren't fully tumbled, but this is kind of after just 30 minutes, and the tumble quality is like significantly better than I was getting out of the Harbor Freight tumblers, and the time is cut basically in half, if not like 3/4 the time. So definitely worth it. The only drawback to doing something like this is the cost of the attrition on the media. So basically how quickly it turns into a paste and falls through the liquid. The more aggressive the media, the higher the attrition rate, and then like a couple other factors such as like how big the media is and so forth. So for example, the leftmost media, which is 1-inch media, compared to this one you're looking at here, I basically lost 10 pounds in 15 days, whereas this media here only lost 5 pounds, and I took them out and actually weighed them. And they're both like in the most aggressive category, if you will. So you can kind of see that like there's quite a lot of attrition rate in runtime, and that was with like probably an average of 4 hours runtime every day, so 4 hours in 15 days, and losing 10 pounds. And 50 pounds of media is like $260. So it can get kind of expensive. So what I've been doing is just making sure that I'm only running it when I need it and batching parts as best as possible. So yeah, that's about the biggest cost drawback in the whole thing. But like I said, I'll do a whole review video. And yeah, if you like this kind of stuff, please subscribe, like the video, do all that kind of stuff. And have a good one.